Once upon a time, on a night when the sky had no stars and the air felt strangely awake, a man named Kaivor Elen stood alone at a bus stop that no longer showed routes. The clock above him was ticking, but the hands were moving backward. Kaivor did not notice at first because he had spent most of his life not noticing important things. That night, however, life decided to notice him. Kaivor was known as a quiet man with loud thoughts. He smiled in public and worried in private. He often said, "Tomorrow I will change," but tomorrow always arrived tired and empty. He wasted hours like loose coins, thinking he had many more pockets of time left. Deep inside, he felt something was missing, but he could not name it. When you cannot name your fear, it controls you silently. As Kaivor waited at the strange bus stop, a bus arrived without sound. Its lights were dim, and its windows were dark like closed eyes. The door opened slowly. Inside, there were no passengers, only rows of seats and a man in black standing near the driver's place. His face was calm, but his eyes were deep, like they had seen too many endings. "This bus only stops once," the man said softly. "Get in or stay where you are forever." Kaivor felt fear rise in his chest, but he did not run. Something inside him whispered that this moment mattered. He stepped inside. The door closed, and the bus began to move even though the road outside disappeared. Images started to appear on the windows. Kaivor saw himself younger, laughing, full of dreams. Then he saw himself older, tired, angry, blaming the world. The images changed fast, like time was losing patience. "What is this place?" Kaivor asked. The man in black answered, "This is the space between what you lived and what you wasted." The bus stopped suddenly. The door opened again, and Kaivor stepped into a long hallway filled with doors. Each door had no handle, only a glowing word: fear, delay, anger, comfort, silence, hope. The man pointed to the door labeled delay. "This is where most people spend their lives," he said. Kaivor held his chest tighten. The door opened by itself, and inside he saw endless versions of himself sitting, waiting, scrolling, complaining, saying someday. The room had no clock because time had already given up there. Kaivor fell to his knees. "I didn't know," he whispered. "I thought I had time." The man's voice became colder. "Time is not yours. It only visits." The hallway shook, and another door opened. This one was labeled fear. Inside, Kaivor saw moments where he stayed silent instead of speaking truth, where he quit before trying, where he chose safety over growth. Fear did not scream, it smiled. That frightened him more than anything. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and a final door began to glow brighter than the rest. It was labeled now. The man looked at Kaivor and said, "This door is never open for long." Kaivor hesitated. His old habit returned, telling him to wait, to think, to prepare. But something had changed. He remembered the backward clock. He remembered the bus that came only once. He stepped forward. Behind the door was nothing at first, just silence. Then a mirror appeared. Kaivor looked at his reflection, but it was not his face. It was his future, unclear, unfinished, waiting. The reflection spoke without moving its mouth. "I become what you decide today." Kaivor felt tears fall, not from sadness, but from understanding. Wasting life was not about doing nothing.
It was about avoiding responsibility for your own becoming. The bus horn sounded loudly. The man in black appeared again. "Time to choose," he said. "You leave now, or you stay here forever, watching what could have been." Kaivor closed his eyes. He felt fear, regret, and hope fighting inside him. For the first time, he did not let any emotion control him. He stood still, breathed deeply, and chose with clarity. When Kaivor opened his eyes, he was back at the bus stop. The bus was gone. The clock now moved forward. The city around him looked the same, but he was not. From that day on, Kaivor lived with awareness. When anger knocked, he paused. When comfort tried to trap him, he moved. When fear spoke, he listened but did not obey. Life did not become easy, it became honest. Kaivor worked on himself, quietly, daily, without drama. He understood that self-control is power, and emotional intelligence is freedom. Years later, people asked him the secret of his calm strength. Kaivor would smile and say, "I once saw where wasted time goes. I decided not to follow it." And somewhere, in a place between moments, the man in black waited at another silent bus stop, watching clocks, waiting for the next soul who believed tomorrow was guaranteed.